Hello, my event friends. Welcome to Eva Talk. I'm back again with a new episode. Our guest today is Vanessa Lovatt, Global Director of Customer Engagement Notified. The topic for today's podcast is customer engagement at events. Vanessa is an established digital media professional with over a decade of experience in building engaged digital communities and 18 years in events, webinars, and digital events. Vanessa was named as one of the top 100 most influential people in the event industry by Eventex this month. The 100 most influential people in the event industry index recognizes exceptional industry figures from around the globe who have left a mark on the industry with their creativity, vision, and capacity for innovation. Welcome to the podcast, Vanessa. Thank you for taking out time and joining.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be involved in these sorts of things. And the preparation has been a joy. We had a couple of technical challenges, not entirely at my end, but it's great to finally be doing this.
Yes, this is actually something we've made it. And I'm so excited for this talk. So I think with my excitement, we should just get started with it. So first of all, congratulations on your recent recognition as one of the top 100 most influential people in the industry. To get started, tell us more about your professional journey. How does it feel to be nominated and voted by the public as the person who they believe has influenced the industry the most?
Well, I will firstly say that obviously it's always lovely to have one's work recognised, but there are so many amazing people on that list and many amazing people who also aren't on that list as well. So whilst it's great to be included, it's just the tip of the iceberg, I think, that list of the amount of sort of talent and innovative leaders that we have. We're very fortunate to have so much creativity in this sector. I think that's one of the things that makes it such a great place to work. So yes, it's very, very flattering, but it's not the be all and end all. And the journey to get here, when you said, and I realize that's in my biography at 18 years in events, it's a little bit of a, oh my goodness, that's a long time. But short story, I started in conferencing, commercial conferencing. So the business that I worked with quite a long time was purely established to run events that we could sell delegate tickets to and sell sponsorship places at. And we ran them entirely independently, so they weren't on behalf of anybody else. And we had every aspect in the business, the research, the program writing, the sponsorship sales teams, the delegate sales teams, the marketing teams, the operations teams to deliver the events, and of course, finance and HR to back us all up too. And it was an incredible experience that really, in my role as a sort of event manager, event director after that, and then running the businesses entirely, gave me such fantastic insight into the way the event sector, particularly the conferencing sector, works and how it can be profitable, and sometimes how it can be very hard to make it profitable. But also on that journey, I started to work on the digital side as well. So launching and establishing digital communities that originally were purely event attendees to try and keep them engaged throughout the year, not just at that moment in time when they were present at your event. And I found this side of it really, well, I guess, inspiring in that the opportunities that it presented to grow your audiences and to retain your audiences were absolutely massive. And those digital communities took on a life of their own eventually and became profitable through sponsorship in their own right as well. So I've been really fortunate to have great experience on the event side of things and also on digital communities. And then more recently, 2.5 years ago now, I guess, I moved what I jokingly call to the dark side and joined some of the suppliers in the event space, where I work with both customers and marketing teams to try and make sure that we're helping our customers to get the most out of us by providing really engaging experiences. And of course, events are a very, very important part of that, which is why
Yes.
we're going to talk about engagement at events today. There we go.
Yes. So that's what our today's topic is. And I suppose we're, this accomplishment that you've had, this, long journey that you have had till now and more years to come. I think all of it is going to give us great insights into the industry. So now that I come to my next question, the COVID-19 pandemic changed the way people attend or interact at events. What changes have you noticed in post-COVID strategies to engage in attendees?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And we're still on a journey. We've not reached a destination here as to how the right way to do it is to engage people to want to attend your event. But I think there are a few main areas that I would encourage everybody to think about, at least during the planning for your event, because I think these give you the best sort of chance of success. And the first, and I'm going to go back to this a few times because I'm a bit obsessive about it actually, is to put aside your own requirements, needs, desires, goals, even for the event. I don't say that lightly. Put that aside and just put on the hat of your customer, your attendee or your sponsor, and think, what do they need? What is the most important thing for them? And make sure that you can definitely deliver that. Because quite frankly, if you can't, your own goals don't matter. You're not going to achieve them. You have to be able to put your customer, so your attendee or sponsor hat on, and really think about everything through their eyes. So making it all about what's in it for them. What are they going to be able to do after your event that they couldn't do before? How is that going to happen? Tell them what's going to happen during your event to enable that. And that really does involve putting yourself to one side. And it sounds kind of harsh, but your attendees don't care about you.
Yes, they care about what they do.
Yeah. And that's a good thing. We should encourage that, and we should deliver on the fact that they're focused on their own goals. That's actually our job. So it's hard, but putting aside our own goals at certain stages of the planning process to make sure that you're being really attendee centric, super, super important. And I think at times in the last couple of years, we've been so focused on getting something done that we haven't always done the thing that the attendees really need us to do. So this is a great moment to just get really back to that. I think the other major change that we've really got, and my second point I encourage folks to think about, is the sort of opportunity for continued engagement around an event, both in the run-up and after, because very often now we've got buckets of digital content available to us. And this may be content that you filmed in the room because you had an in-person event and you were able to film the sessions, or this may be the replays of a digital event, or probably both of those things in your overall portfolio. And this can really expand the marketing window, the engagement window, the selling window even of your event. And I think this is a crucial thing that we haven't quite mastered yet. And different events will have different definitions of what mastering that truly looks like. But it is definitely growing in opportunity for us. And two last things I want to chuck into the mixer. Very rarely do I see a different event experience for re-attending attendees, repeat attendees and sponsors, as opposed to brand new attendees and sponsors. And I think this is a really significant opportunity for event planners, event organisers. If attendees have been before, they have a level of base understanding, and you want them to have a better experience each time they come, not the same. So you've got to think about how you make that happen. How do you reward their loyalty so that they keep being loyal to you? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how one really grows. You've got to have a foundation. If you start from scratch every year, it's incredibly difficult to grow. But on the flip side, for a brand new attendee, they don't know your event. Some attendees, very small number, it will be their first ever event that they're going to with you. And that is a very small volume, I concede. But anyone who's new to your event, they need orientation. They need to know what to expect. And I feel it's our responsibility to give that to them. So I would like to see more of that. in 2023, especially as formats and events are evolving with the mixture of online and in person as well. And then the last piece, and I'm not going to go too crazy on this because I think it's reasonably self-explanatory, but video first. You just cannot escape it now. Doing it well, I think, is the difficult bit. So what do you actually need to put into videos that will engage? And some absolutely stunning footage that just came from Money 2020, a very successful event that was about well, actually, it was also about the speaker journey. It was raw, it was real, it was totally authentic, and it was actually quite consumer style content as opposed to business style content. And I think that's a real trend that we're going to see in starting in 2023, and I hope continuing to emerge in the years to come, because I think it's going to really help to engage people. So thinking about
that was insightful.
That's all right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I suppose that was very insightful from your side, and we are going to, I think, look at this a very important point that you have said, that deliverables for the attendees and for the clients are going to be really, really important for us. And we should be focused, because if we are not, looking at it, it's not going to get us to the end goal. So, of course, we're going to, I think, highlight this point to our podcast today. All right, did you miss it? I will go again on my question, because this is something interesting that I would also like to know. That is, virtual and hybrid events have opened new doors for event organizers to reach a wider audience. What do you think are some of the major challenges that event planners face in terms of audience engagement at virtual and hybrid events?
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's a great question. And it's, the full answer is probably about a day's worth of discussion, but to try and keep it really short, let's start with in-person events, because we're all thoroughly enjoying getting back to experiencing in-person events. The value of these trips, the perceived value of these trips to in-person events has skyrocketed because we haven't been able to do it. So now we are, as a human race, we are placing a huge amount of value on those in-person experiences. If that then isn't realized, the trip doesn't feel to have been as valuable as you were expecting. It's very easy for that to lead to attendee disappointment. I think we have, we're not in a position where people are just regularly going to events consistently, rolling from one to the next, perhaps going to 3 or 4 events a year. We're not in that position. There's been a long break, and expectations are sky high when it comes to going to an in-person event. I think the first in-person event people went to after the pandemic, they were probably quite forgiving because it was just such a novelty. But now that novelty moment has passed, and you don't have to look very far to see people sitting there on their phones in sessions, to see people skipping sessions, to see people kind of not doing everything that you want them to do. I saw a post on LinkedIn just this week saying, how can this happen? Already we're finding attendees are showing up to the events, but then they're disappearing, and they're not showing up to the ends of the events very specifically. So we are still faced with a lot of the same problems that we were faced with pre-pandemic already, which is, how do you engage attendees in room? Now, there are amazing tools that you can use to engage attendees in the room now, and where they are appropriate to give the attendees a great experience and also help you achieve your event goals, I think those are well worth looking at, sort of audience engagement tools. But I think it starts before they even get to the event, to be honest. It's the expectation. What are they going to expect at the event? What do they need to do to get the most out of the event? And how can you make that happen? And I do think this does require quite a bit of structured sort of maneuvering at the events to ensure that the attendees are getting the most out of it. I think humans are naturally more likely to do less than to do more. And so as as organisers, our role is to make sure they achieve the more at your event rather than the sort of probably course of least resistance. And that's really hard. It's really hard to do. And you can't really do it well unless you have a relationship with those attendees when they arrive, which is where I refer back to. They're a brand new attendee. They're going on a brand new attendee journey. You know they're a new attendee. Maybe even when you welcome them, you say, welcome to the event for the first ever time. Here's a piece of paper that tells you about how to get the most out of the event. Or click on new to the event on the app, and there's 3 tips to help you get the most out of it. Or go over here and talk to my colleague. They give orienteering to our brand new attendees. Already that attendee's like, oh, this is different. I haven't had this before anywhere else.
Physical.
For those returning attendees, welcome back for the 3rd year in a row. We're so happy to have you here again. We noticed that when you attended last year online, that you went to these 3 sessions. As such, we'd like to recommend that you go to this session tomorrow at 10 o'clock. I'm sort of, making this up a little bit, but if you've got 10,000 people come to your event, you can't do that for sure. It's too much. But if you've got a more intimate style event, why not take it to the next level? For sure, it takes time. And I wouldn't want to suggest that this is, easy and you can do it with your eyes closed. But when it comes to attendance, like I said, expectations have gone up. So what can you do that is more to reflect the attendee expectation? And I think rolling out the same style, same format, same approach is very risky business right now. And it's not easy to make significant changes. But if you do 1 or 2 things really, really well, I think you'll find that it pays dividends in the longer term.
All right. So you talked about how we can entertain people in person, of course, the personal touch.
You're right. I didn't talk about online. Thank you. Forgot that. Really
I would really like to know, what about online? How do we engage audience? Because see, this is even our platform. Floor has been there, but I suppose the events that are running here, maybe some of my clients come up and I can give some suggestion to them. So what would you suggest? How to entertain them during? Because see, in person, of course, you get to meet people. There's networking, etc. People after COVID have realized that meeting in person is very, very nice. Rather than seeing each other online. But what about that comfort that people find in the online events, and that they're there attending it from maybe far off places that they can't travel to?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, in my personal opinion, the future of the event sector is a wonderful blend of in-person and online experiences. I don't think it should be one or the other. I think certain parts of the event sector, exhibitions particularly, are extremely hard to have, I would say, meaningful online elements to them. That is certainly possible, I think, around the event, but in the actual days of the event, particularly hard. Certainly for conferences and meetings, there's great potential here. So that's my personal opinion. I think it's a wonderful blend. I'm not a one or the other. And I think the less we can, or the more we can discourage the what's better approach, the better, because they both serve different purposes. But with the online engagements, it's really, really hard. So let's just start with that. Let's just say it as it is. It's really hard. Don't be, don't be swayed by the return to in-person to inadvertently revert to trying to just adapt in-person sessions to an online experience. Keep the session short, for example. Don't suddenly go to 45-minute online sessions. Keep them short, really succinct. I think it is extra important to have incredibly powerful speakers. Again, expectations have gone up. Think of TV. You would not put a boring presenter on the television. No offense to many speakers that are doing their absolute best with digital, but it is a harder medium. You lose a lot of your expressive, you can see my hands again all over. You lose a lot of your extra sort of body tools to be able to express yourself online. And it is hard. So I think you've got to be really thorough about making sure your presenters are truly able to engage, not just with their content, but with their style and how they portray themselves. I would definitely also recommend considering the sort of effectivity or effectiveness of whichever tool you are using. Is it the right tool for your audience? Does it need to be super easy, quick in and out, super familiar, press the one button and they're in? Or actually, is it more appropriate that they do go through I would never make it a complex onboarding experience, but a slightly more complex onboarding experience so that they then have a better experience when they're inside the event. They are referred to the appropriate sessions. They are signposted in the event to relevant content to them, because that will keep them engaged. It depends on your event goals, how many events, how many profiles of attendees you've got. There's so many different elements to it. But I do think being really, really focused on designing your sessions to be online is critical. What I would never recommend is, this is me filming from the back of an in-person event and just streaming online and expecting that to be engaging. It's not. Again, if we go back to TV and you think about presenters where they'll have an in-room audience, an auditorium, let's say, as well as TV viewers, which is the vast majority of live presented entertainment shows on TV. There'll be moments when they engage the in-room audience. They might interview an audience member. They might bring an audience member down from the live audience onto the stage and do something with them. But there'll also be things only for the digital audience, the TV viewers sitting at home, which might be press the red button to go digital, or it might be check out online to find out how you can enter some kind of competition and activity. So it's think about designing for the audience group. So incredibly important.
I think then we come back to your very important point that deliverables should be according to the clients and according to the audience that's coming in. So, yeah. All right, Vanessa, that was a great explanation and great insights into what we can expect. Now, I would come to my next question, and that is, there is no doubt that the event engagement is crucial to the success of an event. Could you please share some tips with our event professionals about how to improve customer engagement?
Yeah, sure. So I just want to make sure I check. This is sort of before they've got to the event, perhaps. They might be customers, you perhaps want them to come to an event, but you just fundamentally want them to be really engaged with you. Yeah, okay, cool. So, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Some of the things that we are doing is having standalone experiences, I would say, for our customers. Now, those could be in person. So they might be advisory forum style. They may be webinars specifically for them. They may be sessions within our open events that are only available to customers, content for customers, reports for customers, things that set you apart because you provide things that are only for them specifically. And again, I think this is really about putting on your customer hat again and thinking, what do they need from me? What are their expectations as well as their actual needs? Like, how do I help them do their job better? Yes. So anything you can do to provide something that's just for them, not for the whole world, I think is incredibly important. For me as well, managing your customer data, I feel, should be different to how you manage your general data. Don't just send your customers all of the same correspondence that you send to your non-customer data, your marketing data, because you should be talking to your customers in a slightly different way. You should be giving them pre-access or a little bit of extra information that perhaps you aren't giving out to the whole wide world out there. We're working very hard on customer advocacy as well. So asking our customers to tell our story for us, which is a lot easier said than done, but it is incredibly powerful. And when you've got a customer actually advocating for you, you know that they are engaged. There is no question that they are engaged. You can also use customer satisfaction tools, so some measurement of engagement. The fact that they do it is a level of engagement. Anyone who doesn't reply to perhaps a net promoter score request or a customer satisfaction score request, I would consider to be of low level of engagement. Asking your customers to present at your events, to present at your
that's a great one.
Exactly. Again, super engaged. also gives you an idea. If they can't do it, doesn't mean they're not engaged, but the sort of qualitative feedback that you get through that process is incredibly, incredibly valuable. Community style approach to customer engagement is a massive opportunity, I think, for the vast majority of companies, but it is also very hard to get it right. And I mean, the list goes on when it comes to customer engagement. It's a really massive opportunity to take a different approach to your customers. And it's something that we're really certainly very passionate about and looking forward to doing more of in 2023. And I think it's very symptomatic of your question at the beginning, was how have things changed?
Yes.
I think people's expectations have changed around how they expect to be addressed.
Yes. So I think something that we can gist down from all the conversation that we have had till now is that in person, personal touch with a person, that's a human thing that all of us like. So I think that's going to be really beneficial, be it be online or hybrid or physical format. All right, that was some learning that we have got from Vanessa, and we should be applying to our events. So with this, I think I come to my next question, Vanessa. That is just one quick question before we wrap up. Do you think post-event engagement is helpful for the brand?
Sorry, say that again.
Do you think that post-event engagement is helpful for the brand?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Although I'm going to caveat, that was a very yes response. Only
Yes.
if it's good. Only if it's good.
All
And
right.
I know that sounds really obvious, but don't just do post-event engagement for the sake of doing it so that you can say, we sent a post-event email, we did this post-event, we did that. Don't do it if it's just to say you've done it. Do it because your attendees need it. Design your event so that you've got something coming out of your event that is really compelling for that post-show engagement. Do some research with your attendees at the event. Share the results as part of your post-show engagement, for example. Get some great footage of interviewing attendees, not the sort of stock footage with people saying they had a really good time, I enjoyed it, but why they came. One key takeaway, one thing they're going to do differently when they get back. Detail, meat, gather that at your event, whether it's live or in person, and use that in your post-event engagement. So design your whole event to make sure you get really, really good post-event engagement content. Then do it. So I think there's so much potential with this. The content, again, that you can gather out. I was at an event earlier this week. They will probably have, I think they had 3 cameras on the stage. So they're collectively going to have probably about 40 hours worth of footage when you add all of those 3 cameras together. They've got gold, absolute gold. The sessions were brilliant. The quality of the filming was truly exceptional as well. I would say it was considerably above average. That could give them 6 months worth of post-event engagement content, maybe even more, who knows. And again, designing, going into the event, knowing what you want to come out of is worth it every single time, but you've just got to schedule time to do that.
All right. So I think it is really important, and it's a great thing for our engagement further from the next and the upcoming events. So yes. Now, I would not like this, but yeah, this is going to be my last, question from you. Is there any additional advice or message that you would like to share with our event professionals kind of community? Our wrap up to the talk.
I mean, it's hard to leave with just one thing, but I think very reflective of the conversation we've had.
Yeah.
The last 3 years, we have learned so much. We've become really adept at multiple format styles for events, with both the digital and in person, and a combination sometimes of the two. Yes. As I mentioned, difficult in exhibitions for online, but leverage all of that. Constantly stop yourself and just ask, what do my attendees want? What's the right way to help them achieve that? Yes. Try really hard to not just default to online or to default to in person. Stress test this with yourself, with your audience members, with your colleagues, with your peers, with your sponsors if you have them, and just be really sure that you're using the right format for your attendees, not just for you.
Mhm.
So I think we've become skilled and capable. So make sure you use it appropriately.
All right. So I think as I said in between also, there's a gist to this conversation that we have learned from Vanessa in the whole this conversation that I had with her. That is that there should be personal touch. There should be, the deliverables should be customer centric or attendee centric, or there's no end goal. So I think that was a great, great, great learning that we got from Vanessa. With such a long experience, I think that's definitely going to help us with our journey. And thank you so much, Vanessa, for joining Eva Talk and talking to me. It was so good that we finally could make this podcast work. And it was such a great conversation about what all we can do, the tips that you gave. Of course, that comes with experience. And we're all here to listen to all of that we could hear. And again, congratulations for the achievement. And we look forward to seeing much more coming up this year. And thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for joining in and watching the conversation. We'll be back with a new episode. And please keep following 10 times.